Hello, my name is Moses Buryakov, and I will be discussing the importance of why transitioning to electric vehicles is so important for the environment and for everybody else, while at the same time without impeding on people's personal rights. So the main purpose is understanding the importance of electric vehicles, and at the same time of learning how to transition into electric vehicles. So imagine a world where you see huge cities such as Los Angeles, New York, Bakersfield, where they once had huge amounts of smog, and now clean skies. You don't have to worry about smog and pollution and just dirty air that's taking place. So, in order to ensure this reality, car manufacturers at some point have to fully transition to producing electric vehicles, and at the same time, new car technologies have to take place. So, hopefully, with the improvement of technology and also time, this could become a reality. So relevance. So one of the reasons why this is so important is that over the years, pollution has become drastically even worse, and that many cities such as LA and even Sacramento are suffering from huge amounts of smog and pollution. So Sacramento is basically rated to be one of the top 10 cities that have the worst amounts of pollution in the United States. So that's kind of huge and big at the same time to think that we're one of the big cities that have large amounts of smog and pollution. So that for my credibility is I've done extensive research regarding this topic, and at the same time noticed this new trend. So with help of the government intervention, at the same time bringing awareness to the situation, we can basically help make the transition much more quicker and smoother. So the neat step is that although global warming is an issue, I believe impeding on people's personal rights is a bigger issue, and that it needs to be quick, it needs to be smooth. So although no country has officially banned combustion vehicles, countries such as Norway are making huge strides to make this improvement. And they've already are boasting a staggering 55% of new EVs but in the country. So this is by Corn. So one of the ramifications of not transitioning to electric vehicles is that according to Vital, outdoor pollution causes more than 3 million deaths a year, more than malaria, HIV, and this number percentage is expected to increase over the decades. So what? You might be thinking car combustion has such a small amount of pollution. Why should I worry about this? The reason why is that according to the WHO, road transportation is estimated to be responsible for up to 30 to 50% of particulate emissions in urban cities and city centers. So basically most of our pollution in cities and urban areas is all from cars, mostly from cars. So although we won't directly die from air pollution, children suffer mostly from asthma and respiratory issues. So according to the NCBI, long-term ambient air pollution is the cause and aggravating factor of respiratory diseases. Although we won't immediately transition to using EVs down the road, car companies are already enticing producers to basically manufacture new cars. And there's also new tax incentives taking place. In my opinion, the best viable option of transitioning to electric vehicles is that similarly to regulating new cars nowadays, we should basically transition to only producing electric vehicles. And people already have the option to be able to drive older cars if they want. So consumers will eventually grow more accustomed to driving electric vehicles as technology improves. So the reasoning is that regardless of government intervention that is taking place, electric cars have become a huge new trend, and at some point this will become mainstream. So according to the IEA, EV deployment has been growing rapidly over the past 10 years, with global stock of EVs passing 5 million in 2018, an increase of 63% from the previous year. So huge strides in electric vehicles is huge. This is basically a new trend that's going to become new. So a reference to a practical example of this taking place is again Norway. Is that according to Germany, one of the major reasons Norway is so far ahead in EV sales is its government commitment to zero emissions. The Norwegian government has set ambitious goals of zero emissions by 2025. So one of the ways of overcoming objection is that according to Loveday, the biggest objection to electric vehicles is how clunky and how impractical they are right now. So many people are against electric vehicles because it takes so long to basically recharge them. They have a lot of issues, but hopefully with the improvements of technology, electric cars will just become as practical as gas cars, if not even more practical. With time, we will slowly transition to electric vehicles becoming more mainstream. So one of the positives to transitioning to electric vehicles is that many cities, again, such as LA, Sacramento, will finally become smog-free, and we don't have to worry about all this huge amounts of air particulate emission, pollution. So one of the negatives, again, is that eventually at some point new cities will emerge, and since car combustion is the biggest factor for smog, basically new cities will have huge amounts of pollution taking place. So in conclusion, as EVs become more mainstream, this will drastically improve other electric technologies. So for example, Tesla may be known for their car electric vehicle sales, but one of the biggest things that they improve on, one of the biggest specializations that they try to improve upon is also battery technologies. So one of the biggest actions that we can do is that the regulation of motor vehicles is in the jurisdiction of the federal government. So basically, we need to mail and directly contact our state senators and our Congress representatives, and it's basically to set a deadline of manufacturing electric vehicles. So one of the main examples of this taking place is when the Green New Deal took place. And even though this was huge and ambitious, this was a good example of the government trying to take action and proposing a deadline of dismissing the production of combustion vehicles. So by transitioning to EVs, we can enjoy the benefits of improving the environment, and at the same time, we can enjoy the benefits of this new technology. So this ends the presentation of this conclusion.